Good morning everyone, and welcome back to another trade recap video where I go through all the trades I took during the day, and I hope you guys can take away something from the video. Anyways, so during market open I initially had a bullish bias, simply because we respected this 15-minute gap multiple times, and then during market open we actually saw a big spike upwards, and we tapped into this 1 hour fair value gap and respected it, but we didn't quite get the tap on the second 1 hour fair value gap, which I was initially targeting. So during my first trade, I saw this nice reaction off of this 1 minute fair value gap, which was tapped into multiple times and respected. So I was initially targeting the unfilled 1 hour gap, resting shortly above that liquidity zone, that zone that was generated during the initial open, and I got fucked, simply put. And the reason as to why I got fucked is I ended up taking my position right over here for it to come back into my limit order off of this 30-second fair value gap, which is good but also bad, simply because we already swept this liquidity pool resting above here. And looking back, I realized my position was actually not that good. I should have taken this 30-second inversion, this initial 30-second inversion targeting the 1 hour gap that we failed to trade in, and then break even immediately after we swept this zone of liquidity, and that would have just saved my trade. And looking back, it's something I definitely need to work on. But yeah, so that is the first trade I took on both the Express funded account and also copy trading onto my Top Step Combine. So I ended up locking my account after that one trade because we were close to my personal daily loss limit. And so I started trading on my Combine, and I actually ended up reaching the daily loss limit on the account. And I'll show you guys exactly the rationale why. And so the trades I took on the actual Combine was reacting off of this 1 hour fair value gap. And I was initially looking for price to come up and tap into this this zone of liquidity that was generated right above here. And we didn't quite get that. So the first entry point that I took was off of this 30-second inversion. And I entered right over there with my stops right down there and targeting this this zone of liquidity just resting above. And I also saw this 1 minute fair value gap resting above here, and so I instantly break even once we tapped in that zone because I was expecting price to come back down. And yeah, we ended up getting spiked out at my break even point, which is not that bad. But looking back at the trade, I should have entered off of the first 30-second inversion and break even after we got up into this point, because there was liquidity generated up here, indicating that if price actually traded above this point, we could potentially see some form of reaction downwards after the liquidity sweep. And and yeah, that trade would have paid off. But I also think I was being a little bit too greedy because I was targeting this this high over here, this draw over here, because it would have passed my account. And yeah, I got a little greedy. So that was my first entry point. The second entry point on this initial trade was I saw that we actually ended up inversing this 5-minute gap right over here. And so I was looking for price to actually come back down and potentially sweep me in. And then there was also this 1 minute gap that was inverse, and I set my limit order right over here, targeting these highs, that draw right there, and I set my stop loss right below this 1 minute fair value gap that was generated, as the price could potentially come down and respect that zone and then pump upwards to hit my target, but that wasn't the case. And so after this point, we saw a nice reaction off of that and got a nice candle closure. So I added an additional 5 micros onto my position, and so it moved my break-even point slightly above, which is okay, because if price came back down into this area, it would most likely flush down and sweep out this low, and that's exactly what happened. And yeah, so this trade kind of tilted me because we were like a couple points away from passing the combine, and after that I kind of just went on tilt, which is truly unfortunate. And it's something that I need to work on, definitely. Yeah, so the rationale behind this other trade I took on the Top Step Combine was that we ended up trading into this 1 hour, this 4 hour gap, and also this 5 minute gap, resting within the actual 1 hour and 4 hour gap. So I saw in the initial price spike upwards, but I kind of just entered off of a whim. I don't know exactly why I entered. I was just tilted at this point. We were also 1 point away from passing the combine once again, which spiraled me down to like an actual tilt. And I kind of just went on tilt after that and hit my daily loss limit. And so those are all the trades that I took during the day. I hope you guys learned something from my videos. If not, then dislike the video. Um, and if it doesn't hurt you guys, please subscribe and like the video. It truly helps me a lot. And with that being said, that that concludes the trade recap for today. Anyways, peace guys.